or something else with you?
I do, yeah.
That you're not talking to us on, correct?
Yes.
So on that, you'll just open up any sort of voice memo app that you may have. It'll record your voice only on that. You'll just like sit it near you and we'll talk. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Right.
Should I just start? I'm just going to start recording.
I love your shirt, by the way. Oh yeah, don't record yet.
Oh, don't. Okay.
I was gonna get us sweaters for that. I was gonna get you, me, and Jess those sweaters. Rose Apothecary.
What is that?
You know this, Sierra.
Is it from Harry Potter?
No, she doesn't know Harry Potter. None of my best friends like Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I don't know.
David,
talk to me like I'm 8.
Ew, David.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, it's pretty far.
I thought you had.
No,
girl.
Jay bailed out, and then I have not watched TV a lot lately, so.
Well, yeah, neither have I. But you gotta catch up. It's great.
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will say 1, 2, 3, and we'll all hit our own individual recording device.
Okay. It's very efficient.
Our super fancy way of like lining up the audio. Now my dog's gonna be all crazy. Is Sierra will then say 1, 2, 3, and we'll all clap. Yeah. So then there's a spike, and we line it up.
Oh wow, you guys are legit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my God, I'll chew it.
Oh wait, I need to test mine to make sure. Hello, are you working? Okay.
So at some point, Jed is going to come home, and the dogs are going to go ape shit.
Okay.
So just keep talking. If someone else is talking, just keep talking.
Glenn asked me like, "Oh, do you have to get gussied up?" And I was like, "I'm not going to."
I have had like my makeup was all gone, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put on lipstick so it looks like I have done something with myself. I was not wearing this moments ago.
I almost thought about throwing on lipstick. I was like, no. All good.
No. Yep. So.
Okay. Wait, I do have one caveat, Sierra. Would you be interested in doing the lightning round at the end?
Yeah, I can do that.
I was like, what am I going to ask Rach? Like, I know her, so.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of
but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I might surprise you.
I've decided to give up on planning lightning round, and I just
okay.
We'll see when we get there. But I just
we forgot the strength one again too. Dang it! We'll do it this time.
We had no time left.
That's true. We didn't. Okay. All right. Well, let's do it. Let's do this one.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Record.
Oh, right, me. Sorry. I'm drinking sparkling water and very burpy. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, you guys were so in sync. It was perfect.
Because we're best friends.
Perfect. Okay. Go ahead, Jess. I figure you start.
Oh. Welcome back to the In Raw Life podcast. I am like over the moon about our last interview in this series because it's one of my absolute best friends in the world, and honestly, just one of the most amazing people in the world in general. So it's exciting to get to introduce her to all of you. This is my best friend, Rachel. We have known each other for, I don't even know anymore, since 2000. What's that? 21
years.
When you say it like that, it's like,
holy crap, I didn't even realize that till I said it. So Rachel and I are very dear friends. We met when we were freshmen in high school, and as high school went on, our friendship just grew, and it became just this, I don't know, it's just, I love her. I love her so much, and I'm excited for you guys to meet her. But before we get into all of that, I want to remind you all who are listening that you can love on all of us today by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast. If you love what you hear every week, or even just one episode, you can go ahead and rate, review, subscribe. That tells the podcast platforms that we are doing something really cool and that they should share us with other people. You can also share us on Instagram, upbringing.co, where we share more of our encouragement, motivation, information, and silly antics. And you can reach out to us there through DM, chat with us, whatever it is that you would like to do.
And if you want to be on the show, just like Rachel, you don't even have to commit to a full hour. You can just tell us what strength means to you, and we will put you at the front of an episode. Not like this one. This one's a little different. But usually we start out with what strength means. So just send us a voice memo saying strength to me means, fill in the blank, and we might feature you on our show. You can send that to podcast@inrawlife.com.
So, Rachel, the reason why we have Rachel on, because just like we've been doing for the past 2 months, is we want to raise up voices that are not like our own. People who have different stories, and we all have different stories. People who come from different backgrounds or different stories or some sort of different experience than us, that we can listen, have compassion, and just learn and love. So Rachel what are you, 3/4 Black background and Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, I guess I would be 3/4.
Something like that. Some sort of that. But yeah, I mean, your mom is Black, your dad is a mix.
My dad's mix of Puerto Rican and like West Indian, St. Thomas, St. Croix, so like the islands. So it's kind of a mixture. Although I've done my 23andMe, and I am actually just a mixture of all sorts of stuff that I didn't expect. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So my daughter is what you would think, like you generally would say, like half English and half African American. But turns out I'm actually like, 30% English or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder so that'd be so fun to look into.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
But yeah, that's why we have you here today, so that we can just, learn and hear your story, what's been going on. There's been so much more out there to hear and learn about, and people speaking up in the past year or so. And it's exciting to realize that we can be the voices and we can be the change and really do something about it. So you want to give us like your cliff notes? You mentioned you have a daughter, but like just kind of give the cliff notes just on who you are in life.
Sure. Gosh. So cliff notes of who I am on life. Gosh. Okay. So Jessica and I went to high school together down in South Florida. And at some point in high school, I realized I really liked design and was really into fashion design, really into interior design. My mom is as well. So she suggested I go to architecture camp, which sounds really nerdy when you talk about it, but it was actually a really fun time. And it was at the University of Miami. So it wasn't far from home. And had a blast with like other kids from all over the country and some out of the country, actually. Like going to see really interesting architectural buildings and throughout Miami and working on projects. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is amazing. So went back to school, took a drafting class in high school, and whilst engaging in theater with Jessica, our other best friend, and decided to, like, I wanted to go to Miami, applied and got in with my work from the camp. And that was the greatest experience ever at university there. But graduated in 2009. There was no jobs to be found, let alone in a creative field or field with construction, related to construction. So I ended up jumping into a job that was offered to me through the VA. So I worked as a construction manager with an architectural focus. And that was really rewarding. They were building a new hospital or adding to an existing hospital. And so I moved to Tampa, never been to Tampa before, and moved to Tampa to take this job. Really enjoyed it, but needed to get back into my industry at some point. So I found a firm, interviewed, they hired me, and I've actually been with them ever since. I've been with them since 2013. So, gosh,
oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She fell. And then and you got married to a very tall, attractive British man.
Yeah. So at some point in my life in Tampa, I meeting Glenn is a strange story that I feel unfair to tell people about, because it's like, this is the thing. It never happens this way. But I was at a bar with one of my really good friends, and it was a Sunday. We were just hanging out. She works in the industry, or worked in the industry. So she got like discounted drinks. And so we were like, oh, I'll always go out on Sunday. And we were out. I had to use their bathroom. So I was walking to the bathroom, and I see this really handsome guy, and he was super tall, and I love tall guys. So I started talking to him, and I noticed he had a shirt on that was really short. So I tugged on it, said, your shirt's too short. Like, you need to buy some new shirts. And he said, well, my sister gave me this shirt, and it was a gift. And I was like, oh, okay, geez. Well, your sister needs to buy you new shirts because they're too short.
That's such a Rachel pickup line. I love it.
And I noticed it was like a Beatles t-shirt. And I thought, oh, I think he has an accent. And we kept talking, and I said, hey, I really do have to go to the bathroom. Don't go anywhere. So I came back, and we started talking, and geez, that was 2011 that we met. So,
Wow.
yeah. And we just got married about 2 years ago, and we just had a baby almost a year ago. So,
The cutest thing ever.
yeah, she's amazing. Being a mom is like the craziest and most rewarding thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What's her name?
Amelia
Yeah.
Rain.
I
I
love
just want to come squeeze her little cheeks.
it.
She wants you to come.
I will. It's happening. It'll happen soon. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, and you can tell from listening to Rachel, she's just like so chill and amazing, and she's like everything that you have and got is so deserving. Like I remember being at your bachelorette party, and there was like what 20 something people from around the country or the world that all flew into New Orleans, where it's destination for you too, which is a testament to just who you are. Like people will flock wherever you are to come be there for you because you're awesome.
Gosh, that's like, yeah, that's really nice of you to say. I never think of it that way, but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's what that whole weekend was. It was beautiful, and just to top it all off, Rachel also has an amazing singing voice. So
The fun facts of Rachel.
exactly, I have to give it the whole rundown. You are one of my best friends. So let's dive deep then. I know it's kind of like taking that and then just like getting into it, but you and I we never even really talked about this until the past year, and we still haven't even really delved all that deep because I know you were trying to like figure things out for yourself and heal and think about it. But what was your experience as a Black girl growing up? I mean, we lived in a melting pot area, but what was your experience as a kid and transitioning?
So as a kid, when I was growing up, at least in Coral Springs, it's, suburban. I guess, I mean, it's Broward County, right? So it's pretty diverse, I guess. But generally speaking, I was usually one of like a handful of African American kids in school, in general, in school. But I also have my siblings too, so it's a little bit of, it kind of changes the dynamic. I have a twin brother, so he's either in my class or in school, and I know he's there, and that might change how I move around, how I moved around school, I guess. But I always grew up not seeing. I mean, I know seeing color, but not really thinking too much about that. So my friends were sort of diverse, although mostly my friends are white growing up. But I think it kind of I noticed my race the most when it came to boys, like when I was interested in boys. I felt like I was in the same playing field as everyone, like that I probably like had a crush on this guy, a crush on that guy. Like there was a new crush every, every week or whatever. I don't know. But I think looking back, I think I was very like unaware, I think at the time about how maybe my race might have played into why I never really dated anyone, had boyfriends or whatever in middle school, and not until like later in high school. And so it's interesting. I haven't really like dug into that much, but I thinking about back on it now, that might have played a factor. But throughout high school, like once I did start dating, it was, my first boyfriend, like my boyfriend pool was pretty diverse starting in high school and even into college. So, not super surprised that I ended up with a white guy or an English guy, someone that's foreign, because I was always kind of open to whoever. But as far as how I was perceived, I was usually pegged as like a white Black girl. If that makes sense. Like a lot of my friends were white in high school and even in college, but I did have more diverse friends, I would say, in college. But there's this really unfortunate stereotype, and I think that that's changing over, it's been changing and continue to change, that like that I'm, white just because of how I speak or how I act. And I don't, I don't know how to change that, but that's just, I'm just being me, you know what I mean? And that's just how I was like raised to be. And all my siblings are kind of that way. We're like unapologetically like just who we are and like take it or leave it. So it's been interesting, like that, taking that mentality and growing up with that mindset of like, I'm just who I am, and entering into the workforce. So I am very recently actually a licensed architect, but I've been practicing architecture for, since I basically came out of school. And this industry is predominantly white and predominantly male anyway. So I'm very much like the unicorn in the industry, like a unicorn in the building. And so I'm pretty much always the only Black person at the table, for sure, and sometimes the only woman at the table, but always the only Black woman typically at the table. So it's but I'm at the table. So it's so it's a cool place to be. It's interesting. People tend to be caught by surprise when they meet me versus like talking to me on the phone or, if we're just video conferencing, but then they somehow see my face or meet me. But it's usually a pleasant surprise, I think. I think most of the time I'm still well received. I'm trying to think if I've ever felt like made to not belong. And I don't know, I think like a couple of years ago, I mean, somewhat recently with everything that's been going on, the social injustice conversation that's very, has been kind of blown up, has just made me think about, are there people out there that don't want me there? And they're just not saying it. But at the end of the day, like what I've come to think about that is, and people have kind of helped me and given me some perspective, is like, I can't control that. I can't do anything about that. So, if I feel like I belong in the room and I'm doing the work and doing, what it takes to get there, then I'm there, but I do think that I did have an experience once where, like a C-level person, sort of, I had maybe made a misstep from a business standpoint, and I think he used that as as a reason to kind of kick me out of the room, if that makes sense. And I didn't know what to do. I basically was told to like take a step back from this client, and I understood why, because I did make a misstep, but I felt like they were my boss was just doing like at the immediate moment what would be the best thing. But my senior on the project, or with that is direct contact with the client, had said at some point we had a change to the project, and I knew all the ins and outs and this and that, and I was like, do you think it's kosher for me to go, to the client site. And he was like, I need you there. So I don't care what, if somebody's going to say something or what, I need you there because you know everything about this part of the project. And I'm not going to be able to speak to it like you can. So I went, and there was a question. There was a question of, like, I had, one of the end users say, like, they allowed you back here? And I was like, I guess so. I'm here. And that was sort of it. I mean, I just ended up getting, folded back into the meetings, and I've actually had really positive experiences with the C-level person that, I was dealing with. I don't know if race played an issue, but I feel like somewhere maybe it did, or maybe my gender, or maybe both. I don't know. But it worked out. It turned out, perfectly fine, and it was an interesting experience to have. I suppose.
So, do you think, like from growing up where we grew up, and then just who you are as a person, who your mom raised you to be, has given you like the mindset that you're kind of speaking to, of how you, maybe something's happening, maybe people are thinking things, but it doesn't affect you because you're so strong in who you are, and like, I don't know how to word the rest of that question.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah, I think I totally do. I mean, I was raised by a really strong single mom, and she is to this day, and even now, more so now because I'm a mom too. She's like Superwoman to me, or Captain Marvel, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I really know who Captain Marvel is. I can't claim to be a Marvel expert, but Captain Marvel to me now is like the upper greatest female superhero there is. And that's my mom then, because she's just amazing. She raised 4 kids on her own with help from family and nannies and that here and there. But, and we for sure all of us sort of have that mentality, and we for sure got it from her. I mean, she's an executive in the disability insurance industry, and she's just like still to this day killing the game. Like, she's so good, and people want her, so yeah, I think I learned a lot of that mentality from her, of just like, you got to do what you got to do. Don't worry about like people, like haters, basically, people that might be like wanting you to fail, or looking or taking a failure and like blowing it up just because they have the power to. So yeah, I think she's definitely.
Part about her and all 4 of you is that, like, she keeps so calm. Like, she taught you guys how to have that such a strong backbone as a human being, but like in the calmest way possible. Like, she's that way, and all 4 of you are that way. Like, you're just like chill, know who you are, like firm in who you are, do amazing things, and just like, yeah, I don't know. She is Captain Marvel.
That's how I feel. Yeah, I don't know. It's just how it worked out. I mean, we just all picked that up like straight away. Some of us have, there's definitely differences and varieties in each of us. We have our own personalities, but I think that's one thing that carries through for sure. Yeah. Is like the confidence in yourself, that when you walk into a room, like, you belong there.
That's encouraging as a mom to hear that, because I feel like I always wonder, like, are my boys gonna get, like, I feel like I'm the same way. Like, when I hear things about like feminism, I mean, I can't speak to race, but with feminism, I'm like, what? Like, do you think it's because I'm a girl? And I just don't, like, I don't think about that, because my mom was a badass single mom, and she taught me to, like, go for it. And so that's what I do. And so, I mean, I have boys, but I still think that I don't want them to ever like doubt themselves or be like I don't know. Like I don't want them to take a bad path. Like not even like mentally. Like I'm sure they'll be confident, but I don't want them to be assholes either, you know? Like I want them to
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
they're going to like care about others and do that. So it's just cool to see that your mom influenced, like she influenced all four of you in the same way. That's really cool. Where are you at? Like are you and your brother the oldest, the youngest, middle?
I'm officially the baby.
Okay. So your brother's your twin's even older than you.
Oh,
1 minute, if that counts for anything. But,
it
and
used
it's
to. I
because
feel
I
like
was stealing his nutrients and he had to be freed more quickly.
And then how old were you when your dad left? Or was he never in the picture?
I've actually recently had this conversation with my mom because I'm like, I'm not really sure. But I was about 3, I think she said.
Okay.
So young. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I knew, it was just us. And he was in our lives, but very minimally. So
Mm-hmm.
he has been, now in our lives as we've been older, more consistently now, especially now that he's lives in Florida now. He lives like an hour from me.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see him quite a bit. I don't know, at some point, and not all of my siblings have reached this point, but at some point I just decided that, like, I can't be angry with someone for mistakes they made, decisions they made, and even more so for, like, I feel like, knock on, or, I don't know, knock on wood, but I feel like, in spite of, what people might think is, an unfortunate situation having, one parent, I had a great childhood. My siblings and I had a lot of fun. We grew up part-time when we moved, a lot of our childhood when we moved to Florida from up north. We spent a lot of time with our cousins who ended up being kind of like additional siblings. So we had a really great childhood. There's not like anything, I mean, I must have some sort of daddy issues, I'm sure, but there's nothing I would look back on and be like, my life is ruined because you weren't in it. It's just, I can't say that. So I just have come from a place of like, you're here now and I have a grandkid, but even still, like, I'm happy to spend time with you and you to get to know me as an adult me. And so just living,
And I mean,
living a
it,
life from positivity.
it made you who you are and your mom who she is as well. And that turned out pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm sure my mom my mom has been through more, and she's only recently have we kind of talked about like the circumstances and all that stuff. But I think she looks back on it and says, I made the right decision. I did the right thing for my kids. So yeah.
yeah, as a single mom myself, I mean, that's once you are able to get perspective on it, you're like, this is such a better childhood for them than what it would have been having like an unhappy mom or whatever the situation would have been.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Emmeline's much better off seeing me having grown over the past 4, 5, 6, I don't know, something like that years, than if I would have just been like my shrunken self staying what I was before.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She has like I mean, I just think you're a better you just because you're in a happier place. And so that's always going to be better for her.
Yeah.
To learn from. So
I have a question. You had said something along the lines of like this is a topic that you've been like giving a lot more thought to over the past year because of like all the social injustice stuff. Can you talk about like what that process was like for you, like where your thoughts were before everything started going down, and then like how, like what that might have called out in you, and then what you like how you were able to process through it and what you've come to?
good question. So I would say before I guess I've just kind of, I don't, gosh, I think of it from a couple different perspectives. So back to that perspective of like, how I grew up, where I grew up, I personally haven't had any, that I'm aware of, any experiences where I've been racially profiled or made to feel scared or in fear of my life from the police or anybody, for that matter, that I can remember, or that nothing that's stood out to me. So I feel that I'm privileged in that sense, in some sense, that I haven't had to experience those things, either day to day or at some points in my life. But I still can understand the perspective of being different and knowing you're different and there's nothing you can do about it. You're just different because that's how you were born, and that there are people in this world that are just looking at that difference and it eats them up inside and they have to do something about it. And so that's the part to me that's really shaken me like more and more over the last couple of years, just seeing like, headline after headline or story after story, or even, lately, it's like several lines down that you have to kind of find stories, and so it just continues to happen. But it's these stories of like young people, or not even young people, but Black people being killed, and daily, I'm sure, there's just harassment for the color of their skin, not because they're actually in the middle of some sort of crime. You know what I mean? The idea that happens, is like, it's horrifying in the sense that, may not happen to me, but it may happen to my cousin, may happen to my brother, may happen to, if I have a son one day, it happen to him. Like, I'm aware that it happens and that it happens to people around me. And it's disturbing. It's really, really disturbing. And so the more, like, as it was coming to a fever pitch, especially with just the administration and everything, it was just like, it sort of got to a point where I kind of had to say, are we not wanted here? Is it just like, is there a big swath of the country or a big swath of people that just don't even want to see my face, like walking down the street? And it brought me to tears, like many times over, to be like, there are people, I could be looking at people in the face, like walking down the street at the park in my neighborhood, and that person would really rather I not be there. And it's not, they have no idea who I am. They don't know if I'm a nice person or not. They just don't like me because I fit some, mold of like who is scary in their world or intimidating or something. So that's just what it's been like for the last, in my mindset. And recently it's, I've come kind of full circle around to it, but that's what my mentality has been over the last like year and a half, of like, just after, if it's reached a fever pitch, it's, I don't watch the videos. I can't do that. Because it would just be really like hurtful, I think. So, but it's just sad. I never, like, I love being American. I love this country. But I also think it's fair to say that we have our own problems and we have flaws, and there's things that like this country was founded on that all of us should not be super proud of. And there's several things that we've done that, founding fathers, quote unquote, did that we shouldn't be very proud of. And that's doesn't mean that you don't love your country. Doesn't mean that you don't, aren't grateful for the things that you are afforded by being born here and all that. But it's just, we need to come to a place where we acknowledge that there were wrongs done and there are wrongs continuing to be done, and just right the wrongs, you know, just treat everybody with respect, and look at somebody as if they're just a person, not a person that you are suspicious of, or yeah.
Yeah, until someone gives you a reason to be suspicious, unless you're just suspicious of everybody, blanketed.
It's true.
Maybe you're just living in suspicion. What a strange place to be, but
yeah.
I just am thinking of people that I know that are always living in suspicion, and they are strange people. I love them, but it's
well,
true.
I mean,
Strange.
Jeb says that he's a person who's suspicious of everybody, so you know.
I feel like he's not at all suspicious of anyone.
Yeah. I mean, be cautious. What are they?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Stranger danger, you know.
Yeah,
but.
be smart, but not. You don't. There's no profile besides coming at you with a knife or something that fits.
That's a clear sign of this person. Yes.
They're not asking for a hug.
I mean, maybe.
Oh, jeez. Oh, but that's so heavy for real. It was nice to laugh afterwards, but like, wow, thank you for bringing us through that, because I feel like we all feel like the majority of America felt that weight, but like just to hear it from the first, like your perspective is so unique because you've never felt that way until all of this like social injustice brought it to light, and that's just, oh man, thank you so much for sharing that.
I have a multifaceted thought and question. Because like once you were like really in the thick of this past year, I remember like you would post sometimes on Facebook, and I was like, damn, I'm like being the worst best friend. Like I've never talked to her about this before. Like, because it didn't feel like a thing to us where we grew up, I guess. And that, I guess you're kind of validating that you didn't feel it growing up where we grew up.
Yeah.
But I remember like you had written one post that was just really like you were down low. And I remember texting you and I was like, okay, what can I text her to make her understand? Like, I am here for her. Like, absolutely. She's amazing. She like, I remember because it was something about belonging here. And I was like, you belong everywhere. And I hope that this is coming across right. And like, I remember like texting, and like I deleted a few times and like retexted it. But like, I hope that a lot of us, most of us, are getting better at also being the allies, and like our eyes are opening up too, and realizing what it is that we can do to speak up and help or be there for people who are feeling it, or or all of a sudden realizing, oh my gosh, like what if I didn't realize that half of America might be looking at me and not thinking I belong here, and us being like, hey, you belong here way more than someone who feels that way,
Yeah. I mean, it's like your text was really like helped me through a tough time, and I had a couple people that reached out and stuff too. And it's just like, I mean, sometimes you just can get in your own head about, with these things that come up, and in the situation, I don't know, I just kind of like lost myself in all the like the horrible things that were happening and the reactions and things. And I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is. Like I can't think of like, if I could give some tips on how to be an ally, I guess I would just say like, just being authentic with, your friends, and like making them known that you're there for them and that they are important to you. But like, I don't know. I feel like the biggest thing is just calling people out if you come across somebody that is very obviously not a person that's, that's not coming from that perspective of like, everyone's equal here. is to just kind of call them out. It doesn't have to be like an argument. And that's not, I'm not advocating for starting fights over, you know, racism, but just to have the conversation with someone and to speak, like to talk it out with them and try to come to a place of understanding. I have some friends that have parents or like aunts, uncles that have, you know, whether it's the way they grew up or whatever, and they've started having those conversations or broaching those conversations, and that's where it starts, you know, just like kind of breaking down those learned attitudes. And you know, I think the cool thing about like culture is that it's always changing and evolving, and you know, we just saw the census. It's like we are literally becoming more and more of a melting pot in this country, so it's kind of bound to happen on its own. My daughter's like an example, you know. It's gonna be a mixture, like how do you check a box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, just gonna have to, people hopefully will get used to the idea that diversity and, you know, including others from different backgrounds is actually a value add into your life or to business or whatever.
Yeah. We spoke with one of Sierra's friends, and she's mixed, like I think she's like half black, half white. And I was talking to her, you know, like it's almost like what I've been doing as speaking up more is the tiny little aggression things, the things that people pass off as, oh, I'm not racist, but they'll say this little thing. And that's where because I honestly don't come across anyone who's like blatantly hateful in my own world, but I come across that, and that's what I call out, which I used to like sometimes like, well, who am I to like speak up, or like I don't think that way. But now I've said things, I'm like, no, you sound like an idiot.
Yes.
Straight
Tell
up.
people they're idiots.
Yeah, and calling out those, because those are the people that, like most of them probably don't even realize, because it's just what they grew up saying, I guess, or what their particular culture taught them is okay to do, and it's like that's not okay. And the more of that we're like able to like bring up and turn around, then it's going to be a larger percent of people who are just being humans, I think, hopefully.
Right on. Yeah.
I did have a question about, like, again, the upbringing. Do you remember any conversations with your mom? Like, did your mom ever bring up conversations about social inequality or like anything, or like talk to your brothers, because you have two brothers? Or was that not even a worry necessarily?
I don't recall conversations. She may have had them with my brothers. One of my brothers was a little bit more challenging. Yes. Challenged authority and all this. So she might have had more of like that conversation or conversations like that with him. And before moving to Florida, to like the suburbs, we used to live in Philly. Before that, we were born in New York, grew up in New York. So my brother's 8 years older than me. So she may have had a feeling like that conversation was important to be had with him at some points. But I never had any of those conversations with her. I'd be curious. It's a good question. I'd be curious to ask her if she felt the need to have those conversations and what they were like.
It's kind of making me feel like a little more like proud of where we grew up, maybe. That it, like, we were like at the forefront of just being people, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, my brother's a huge like fan of Broward County because he can say that it's like the most diverse county in the state. That's why he loves living there. And so and now the census came out, and he's like, super
Aw.
proud of it. But yeah, I do think it has a lot to do with where we grew up and the prevailing, culture of just that area in general. So
Yeah.
we're lucky.
And then, yeah, I didn't really see from my own perspective other people's views. Like I knew it existed because I could see it in, movies or whatever, but it's hard to understand in real life. But until I became a military wife and then we were in, the South, surrounded by many Southern or like small town people. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing. Like it was bizarre to me.
Yeah. You've probably seen more
Potentially,
of it
but
than me.
most honestly, the most that I remember, it's mostly those people that just don't know better. I honestly think that most of the people I knew were not hateful. They just didn't know better. Like it was like this, it was the little conversations, not like, oh, I'm gonna go, I don't know.
Yeah. You can't, well,
I don't
I'm glad you didn't cross any of those people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I'm lucky, and I guess that's another credit to my mom. I guess she chose to settle us down there, and she chose right, and she's still there. So, and I love going back home and visiting and going to the old places. So it was I just have really fond memories of where we grew up. So
yeah, I do too now.
yeah.
Did you have any other questions, Sarah?
No, I don't think so.
That was a good conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Gosh. Do you want to do the raw one? Or like,
oh yeah.
Do you want to switch?
Do you want to do lightning round?
Yeah, I'll do lightning round.
Okay. Well, I know that we have dove pretty deep into a lot of feelings and thoughts. But as with all of our guests, we ask that you share one of the rawest moments just in life, in any facet of life that you're willing to share, just because, you are a super successful architect and mom and wife, and like you've got all these amazing things going on and you're doing it. But we all have our moments. We all have things that we go through. And that's why we started this podcast to say, hey, we might have our stuff together like most of the time, but we also go through these times where we don't. And you're not alone if like you've been through it too. So do you have a moment in mind?
So I guess it's a specific moment, but it happened multiple times. So, to be an architect, you have to go to an accredited university, which I did. You have to have a certain number of hours in practice, which I did. And then you have to pass these exams. And it used to be, when I first started, it used to be 7. But I took them for so long that they went down to 6, and then I think down to 5 now. And so I started testing in 2013, and I failed. And that was like right when I changed jobs to working for the firm I work for now, a couple months in. And then I took a really long break and took an exam in 2016, and it passed. And I was like, that's awesome. And I took another one, and I failed. And then I failed over like a year and a half. And I remember, I don't know exactly which fail it was. It was literally like 6 fails in a row, different tests. And then I failed some of them multiple times. So you go to this testing center. It's the same testing center that I've been going to the same testing center since I started. And I remember after one fail in particular where I thought like, oh, I think I did it. Like, I'm almost there. You can check to see if you passed or failed like right after you take the test. And since I have no patience and I like have to know, I click the button that says like, did you pass or did you fail? And it says you likely, and you kind of hold your breath, and then you see the fail, and it's just like, it's just crushing. So I would, hold it together in the testing center and like get my ID back and all that stuff, and then get in my car and I'm just like bawling, because I just feel like I worked so hard. Did I study hard enough? I thought I did. What a disappointment. I've been telling, myself and my family and Glenn and for years, like, I'm going to be a licensed architect. And then it just feels like I let myself down, but I also let other people down because I didn't study hard enough. I didn't spend the right amount of time focused on what my goals. And it was frustrating because I knew that nobody could do anything about it but me. And and every time it kept happening, it was just like, why am I doing this to myself? And it's money. These tests are really expensive, like hundreds of dollars, like thousands. I've spent thousands of dollars on these tests altogether, study materials and all that. But man, when I passed the last one, it was like euphoria. And to be honest, I passed my last exam in April of this year, and it still doesn't feel quite real. It's like I'm not using my license. That's the other thing. Don't you use it right away. I'm not using it. But it's like I'll have to pinch myself moments where I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to study. Like the other thing too is like you feel like you're a sweet baby. Like I feel like I told myself that so the funny thing is I took my last 2 exams and passed them back to back, like only a month apart after study. Like I used my maternity leave to start studying again. I joined a boot camp actually, which changed my life. And I was like, I had Amelia in September of last year, and I was like, I am not going to let these stupid tests keep me from spending time with my daughter. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, have to be done with this. And I started the boot camp in November. I was like, I'm on maternity leave. I'm not doing anything except for learning how to be a mom and not sleeping.
Yeah.
But I wasn't working, which was like part of the biggest hurdle somewhat, working and studying and all that. But yeah, started the boot camp in November and took my test in March, and I didn't find out. I was like, I'm not pushing the button. Somebody in my group told me not to. And I took the second test in April, and I found out then, and I passed. And then I came home, and Glenn was like, are you all done? I was like, oh, I don't know. And I checked online, and I passed. So it was like, congratulations. Yeah, it was crazy.
So I remember getting that text.
Oh my gosh, like heart pounding out of my chest. But man, it's just the culmination of so much like hard work, sacrifice, money, sacrifice with my family. I used to bring my books home when I would visit with my mom and my siblings and stuff, and like study or not study, and then be like beat myself up over bringing these heavy books and not using them. So it's just nice to be on the other side of it. Really nice.
Thanks for sharing that, because that is, I mean, a lot of our community are passionate, growing women, like whether they're in a 9-to-5 or they're like leading in their can't think of the word right now, like their occupation or whatever, their field, or like an entrepreneur of some sort. And that's part of like up leveling in whatever you're doing is all of those fails. And it's so like heart wrenching. I mean, Sierra and I go through it too. It's like, oh, you really think that this is like you did it this time, and you've sacrificed all of these things like time with family or sleep or whatever it is and money, and then it didn't work out how you thought. And it's like, okay, I can like give up right now and just not do it. But what's that going to feel like? Or I can like regroup and then go for it again, like be the crazy person that just keeps trying over and over again. And then you make it though, because like you're just like any entrepreneur, like you're the top whatever percent. I don't know, like you're one of the top percent, because I'm sure tons of people do the same thing that you did, and then like never mind, it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
You didn't give up. That's insane. Like insanely good.
And maybe, but that is the definition of insanity: is doing the same thing, or trying again and again and again and getting the same result.
Yeah, and that's the attitude, is like that's how you talk yourself into giving up, is like I'm not cut out for this. This isn't for me. Maybe I'll just go on practicing. I don't need my license. Like, you kind of just tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself to get past it. And for some people, that's fine. Like, you don't have to be licensed. You can move on. You don't have to keep running in this wheel and trying to achieve something. But if that's not you, I'm like, I cannot stop. This is like, I've worked my ass off for this. I've been working really hard in life and school and all that. And like, the mantra in this group was like, in general, is like, failure, it's only a failure if you stop trying. Every failure, and it's so right, especially with these exams, but kind of with anything, it's like, a failure is an opportunity to learn what you can do better the next time, what you did wrong this time, what you can do better. Whether it's like, I need to really set aside more time to study, or I need to study in a more quiet place, or I need to find another study material that I can connect with, but that's like life in general. It's like, this failure, there's got to be something. And I've had some other sort of failures that I will not share on this podcast that I've learned from, and they were life-changing, and I was able to work through that. And that's another thing. I think those are the other things that kind of help you through these other hard times that you come across, is like, I hit this challenge and I beat that challenge. What's to say I can't beat this one? So
that's what I say anytime Emmeline and I go through some like weird stuff, like traveling cross country when she's 1.5 alone, and she like gets the flu on the way and all that kind. I'm like, always like, if we can get through this, we can get through anything. So then, like, the next time something crazy comes up, I'm like, okay, we've done something crazy before. We can do it again.
Seriously, the next time that I feel like a failure, I'm going to come back and listen to this episode. That was so encouraging.
Yeah, it's so good for anybody that's listening. I love it. I'm so glad that you shared that. I forget, I've asked you to take the Enneagram test, and I know I asked you and Jess at the same time, and I forget which one of you. I think you came out as a 1 and she was a 3.
So I sort of looked into it today when I was like, I'm going to be talking to the girls. I need to get my stuff together on my Enneagram. And I was trying to remember, like, I didn't take a quiz again, because I think I took a quiz last time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I might be a 3, but maybe I was like,
You sound very 3-like to me.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, I'm pretty, it's hard because you both, I'm not inside your head, but like both you and Jess could be either one, and one of you had done one with the other from the quiz, but it really is about like the core desire and core fear of each one.
Is the one the helper, or what's
two?
The
is the helper. The one is like the perfectionist or the reformer, depending on which one you read. 3
the biggest thing is like where your desires are. Like, do you feel the most, like, what, like, is your biggest desire that people like love you, that people think that you're worthy, or that people think that you're good?
I have I don't care about whether people think I'm worthy. Doesn't bother. I don't care about that. I do have this strange feeling that there are people that don't like me, but it doesn't like keep me up at night. So what was the other one?
Love. Like, oh wait, no, that's love.
That you're good.
That I'm good. No, it must be the people don't like me one.
Well, it could be, maybe worthy is the wrong word, but like,
yeah, it's
like needing to,
like do I look to others for validation?
No. Like, you look to your achievement, like the fact that you're not an architect unless you have that, like, unless you have the certificate. Like, does that fulfill you? Like, the certificate fulfills you. Does it or does it not? Like,
oh no, it doesn't.
Like
I've gotten it and I'm like, dope, I did it. I'm a boss, and then I just move on. Like,
There's of those 3, like the top 3, the 1, 2, and 3.
She's not gonna use
it. It's basic desire to be good, virtuous, and have integrity. Or the next one is to feel loved and connected to others. Or the next,
like, wait a minute, I don't want to shrug integrity. No. Like, that's horrible. I was like, doesn't sound like me.
Well, we all have these desires, but it's But it's like what like is like the most like that
Drives you.
decision.
Yeah.
Or feeling worthwhile, accepted, desirable.
That's so funny to me.
I don't need integrity. You can leave it.
I love Rachel faces.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
The fears sometimes speak more. The fear of being corrupt, the fear of being unloved, or the fear of being worthless without value.
I think maybe it's the fear of being worthless without value.
Or
That's
there could be, like, she could be one of the other numbers. Maybe she's a 5.
Oh yeah.
You never know.
Oh, she's not a 5.
She's not a 5.
She's not a 5. I know her well enough.
Do you though?
I do.
Sometimes. I don't know. You find these surprising things from people.
I have a strong feeling because I think you had come out as a 3, and I have a strong feeling that's what it is. But
yeah.
We'll dive deeper one day, Rach. We'll talk about it.
I like it. I like that. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna mute myself and you do the lightning round.
Okay, so lightning round time. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. My first question. This is not a lightning round question. This is just a preface question to my lightning round question. Do you love Friends as much as Jessica does? I feel like I remember that. Or no?
Jessica has like a really good a good memory for Friends. I do too, but like not. I'm realizing now there's some episodes and I'm just like,
yeah.
I feel like Jessie was the bigger Friends fan than you, right?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I watched I watched a lot of Friends though, to be honest.
Okay, well then
I know
I'm
a lot.
Go for it. My question, which is my question is, what is your favorite moment in Friends?
Ooh. I love when Ross and Rachel got together. Like,
yeah.
That's
just thinking that same thing. It's like I wonder what I'd answer. Like
and
that moment when they. Oh.
Yeah, it was like in the apartment, right?
No,
it was outside of the cafe or the
Yeah, it was like yes.
Oh,
so good.
the part that I love too is that they like had a child together, and it's like that's so cute. And then I read somewhere that like recently that one of them has a crush on the other one, and I was like,
in real life
together.
So it was the HBO Max thing. I can't even think of it. David Schwimmer admitted that he had a crush on her back then, or like maybe like it went back and forth at like different times throughout time, so they never quite got it together. And then recently, someone tried spreading a rumor that like there's something going on in real life, but it's not.
It's not real.
That's okay. Okay. What is your favorite building in the world?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if so. I have a favorite architect, and most of his buildings are in Finland. His name is Alvar Aalto.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think if there's like I don't think I can pick a specific one, although he did like a theater that I really love. I can't think of the name of it now. But he's one of my favorite architects. So, and actually have been to Finland, which is like mind blowing.
You've been to Finland? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Rachel's well. But thanks for asking that question. That's good to know.
And then, so then my next question is, what's the best place you've ever traveled to?
Oh, that's a good question. So, oh man, that's a good question. So Glenn and I, Glenn's family has come over to visit him like a bunch of times to Florida specifically because he went to college here. And so his parents were like, we'll meet you somewhere, but we're not going to meet you in Florida because we've done that. So Glenn and I met them in Iceland a couple years ago. And it was such a fun, it was just his two parents and me and him. And we got like an Airbnb and we went out late at night with his folks to try to catch the Aurora Borealis and with some bottles of wine. And it was just such a beautiful trip. It was so cool.
That sounds magical. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay, so this one we ask everyone. What is your favorite small business?
I wasn't prepared for this, even though I listened to everybody, all your podcasts, and I know this is one of the questions.
Current,
I'm
most
trying to
recent.
think of my absolute favorite. All right, I will say, so Glenn and I, like, I like takeout every couple of, every, like, I say once a week. That seems like a lot, but it's kind of true. And we always order from this place called Chop Chop Shop. It's like Asian fusion. Like, I get ramen with chicken. Oh, so good. So we could order from there every week and be
Is
fine.
it in Tampa?
It is. Yep. I live in a neighborhood called Seminole Heights. And so it's like a local restaurant here.
Chop, chop, chop.
Might need to go there.
I'll check it out next time I go.
Yes. Yes.
And then, I don't know if you're prepared for this one or not, since you know, but my last question is, what is your favorite thing about you?
Gosh, I think I love that I'm kind of up for, like, I'm game to do kind of anything. Like, Glenn and I went on our honeymoon to Utah, and I was like, okay, Utah, right? So we went to, like, the national park, and he was like, let's hike Angel's Landing. And I'm like, not the most athletic person, and not the most athletic I've ever been in my life, for sure. And people have been seriously injured and lost their lives climbing Angel's Landing, but we decided to do it in the middle of winter.
Oh my God.
And I had to use my, like, that thing again that tells you, like, you can do this, keep going, don't stop, you can do this, da, da, da. But that was kind of like also a mantra to get me through. And we made it. And it was like a beautiful view and breathtaking and, like, just cool that I can say that I did it.
Yeah.
And I like that feeling, I guess.
Yeah. That's awesome. I thought you were going to say I had to use my whistle.
So someone would save me.
Give me go for me.
It's not.
No, Rach doesn't get it.
Okay, and then one bonus question that we would love to know is, what does strength mean to you?
I don't know. I think that's what strength means to me, is, like, perseverance. In spite of the odds, in spite of, like, what you can talk yourself out of, or you just keep on going.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh man, well, thanks, Rachel. That was a fantastic interview. You made me laugh a lot more than I expected in such a serious conversation. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. It was a nice experience, actually. I hope sometimes I feel like I ramble, so you guys have to tell me.
Not
You
at
didn't
all.
ramble
You
nearly
can't
enough.
use this.
I needed more from you. I needed more laughter because I didn't get enough.
I know, maybe we'll actually have bloopers this time. We haven't had bloopers in a while.
I know. Well, we did, but I didn't feel comfortable putting bloopers at the end of such serious conversation.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. It's okay.
I don't know. I feel like that's life. It's like,
Yeah, it's true.
good and the bad, the happy and the sad. It's like the dichotomy of life. It's like, there's bloopers.
We are all theater people.
And we're all human. I'm totally okay with that, which is pretty good. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up. Well, thank you, Rachel, for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who's listening at home. Thank you for always listening and showing your love and support. Just a reminder again, if you could rate, review, and subscribe, that'd be really awesome, because that'll help us to grow. And check us out on Instagram at inrawlife.co. Whoa, dropping sick beats over here. It didn't even mean to.
You can also be a part of our community if you're an empowered, unstoppable woman like Rachel and Sierra and myself. Rachel is one of our favorite stars in our group. You can check us out on Facebook. It is Empowered Unstoppable Women. We would love to have you in there. Until next week, I really hope that you took all of these episodes these past 2 months to heart and just listened with an open mind and heart. You don't have to understand. You don't have to have a conversation with us or about it, but I just hope that you come to it open and with compassion, and maybe come back to them if you need to when you're in a better place to hear them. I really, really enjoyed all the conversations. Thank you for being our culmination of this series. And for all of our listeners, if you are going through anything where you just don't know how you're going to make it through, just have a little Rachel in your ear saying, you can do it, persevere. And I bet you will. Bye. Ta-da.
Yay. You can stop your recording now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you sincerely for all of it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And also, thank you for being the only person participating in the chat.